Welcome back, Savages. Tonight, in lieu of National Ghost Hunters Day, we are talking amateur paranormal mistakes. I hate all of you. Make it on me tonight.
I have tears.
You're all horrible people. Horrible. This is my soapbox topic. It really is. Like, this is
my favorite thing I like to scream about is the SLS cameras. I love them. They're fantastic. They can be a great tool, but they matrix everything.
Yeah.
You have to look with the lights on before you start using this, because if there's a plant or even a line on the wall, it will matrix it into a human shape.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen that in some videos that people who are investigating their own houses because they've been hearing stuff and like, oh, we set up this camera. You see the person who's like in the video, but then you see if it picks up a bug or a reflection of some kind, because that's what it's meant to do, is any kind of movement.
Yes. I got into a Facebook battle.
I remember that.
With somebody because they were doing an abandoned hospital of some sort. And it was in a room and they had like the old like pharmacy windows where it would slide over, you go get the meds.
Yeah.
And they had the SLS camera up recording that where there had been spirits seen. They had this SLS camera and you can clearly see it's matrixing the outline of the window and the stuff that was in the window making a body going like this. And I'm like, that's not anything.
Right, because then they put that out into the internet and people are like, oh, it's haunted. No. We're going to go back to basics, people.
Yes.
Back to basics.
And I love those tools. They can be great. You have to debunk everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But sometimes it's better, like you said, go with the basics. It's easier to prove a haunting with the basics than it is all the fancy things, because there's too much that can go wrong.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast a couple months ago about one of the books that we actually have about paranormal investigations. Mm-hmm. And that was the first thing that is in the chapter of that book. And the first thing he says is stick to the basics. Mm-hmm. You don't need the big fancy tools. No. You don't need the big technology to see if a place is haunted.
Yep.
I mean, we use the dowsing rods. We use cameras.
Yep.
We use like the pendulums and stuff.
We have like 5 voice recorders that we use.
Right.
Cameras.
Yeah.
Regular cameras and video.
Basics.
Yeah.
And I think we've caught just about everything on just those alone.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need big fancy
No. I mean, the big fancy things are nice, and especially for show, they're great. If you want to take these things and show everybody and get this big uproar of, look what I got. Right. They are great for that. In my opinion, you cannot 100% say there is a haunting based on all the new fancy things that can go wrong.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mine is the orbs.
Yes. That was gonna.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Orb this, orb that. Just look, came across my screen. Every place that we have gone to, the first thing in every video that I say as I'm walking around is, there's dust.
Yes.
There are bugs.
Yes.
If you see something, it's probably dust.
Yes.
We will rewatch the videos, but that's always the first thing that I say.
Yeah.
Is there's dust.
And not saying there aren't orbs. There are.
We have seen them.
You can definitely tell a difference between an orb and dust and bugs and whatnot. But because you see a spot does not mean it's an orb.
Yeah.
Occam's razor. What's more likely? This place is super dusty?
Right.
Or a ghost decided to just like go into like very dust-like pattern.
Right. And it's, what do people go into the most? Abandoned buildings. Mm-hmm. old buildings that are either under restoration or have been restored, houses that are in the process of being renovated somehow, or outside.
Yes. And not only that, even if you're in a residential house, you've got heating, you've got air conditioning, you've got windows open, you've got the simple fact of people moving around.
Right.
Things are going to move.
Yeah. And
Dust particles, whatever.
If you have never walked through a place that, even at work, like, we have cleaned things, and within a matter of like an hour or two, it's dusty again.
Yeah.
You lose hair. Your pets, they have fur. God knows what kind
Skin
of...
cells.
Right. Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
All of that stuff makes dust. It's common. It's science.
Right.
Science. It's been proven. What's
And
in
it's
dust.
common sense, something that not many people have.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't matter. You could clean top to bottom, and within an hour or two, you could see dust. You can feel it in the air. But if you're going to go to an abandoned hospital, or even... something in my nose.
Is it dust? Is it an orb?
Yeah, it's an orb.
You have an orb in your nose.
I mean, how many people go to like the abandoned hospitals or the movie theater that we went to?
Yeah.
Or jails.
Yeah.
Places that people do not clean on a regular basis. That's the first thing that you're going to see.
Yeah.
Is a layer of gross.
Yes.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
You can't just walk into a room and be like, oh my God, it's Orbs. No, it's George. This is his skin and his hair because this is where he lived. That grossed me out.
Yeah, I was like,
but you get it though.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that people...
Oh, yeah, because they're so focused on finding evidence that at that point anything is...
Yeah, don't be afraid to disprove stuff.
We do it all the time.
Right. It doesn't make you any more or less of an investigator. It if anything, makes you more of a credible one because you're like, hey, this is what this actually was. So then when you get the good stuff, it's better because you're not drowning it out with the crappy stuff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we sit and we listen to EVPs for hours, and then we're sitting there like listening, and you're like, no, that was me. I did that. And then they're like, if you were to just put that straight out on the internet, somebody's be like, oh, I heard this.
Right.
No, that's my shoe.
Right.
I stood up.
Yeah.
Or, no, I moved my book bag. Because you can't not make sounds.
Right.
As much as we really try to be quiet, which... As we all know, we cannot say quietly for seconds at a time.
No.
But we are always going to have some kind of noise. And if you say right off the rip during any investigation, it's not wrong.
Right.
Like, you're allowed to be like, oh, there are times when I'm filming everybody and like I trip or like I step on something. I'm like, nope, that's just me because I know.
Yeah.
When we go back to review all of that stuff, we're going to hear it or we're going to see it. And you're going to be like, what is that? And then you're going to hear, oh, no, that was me. And we're going to know, okay, that was, Kelsey or Kai, they were doing this. We'll get rid of it. We can't use it. Kind of thing.
There's been times I've slid the voice recorder across the floor.
Oh, that sound. And it's so loud.
It is. And if I don't say what it is, it's going to sound like a growl.
Yeah, because depending on if I'm filming or if you guys are by yourselves and we're in an area that I just didn't put a camera because it wasn't needed at the time.
Yeah.
But we have the recorder and then all of a sudden you hear da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And then you're like, where the hell did that come from? Like, what is that? But usually we know. Like, that's the sound of the recorder.
Yeah.
Like, you are allowed to do those things.
Right.
And for TV shows to be like, no, you need to be really quiet.
In a perfect world, yes.
Right. You can't just sit there.
No. And you get the best evidence when you're actually doing things.
We have done this.
Yeah.
In a lot of our investigations, and all of a sudden we've got people having conversations with us that we didn't even know were happening.
Yes. Yep. To sit there in complete silence and stare at the wall for hours is just not even possible.
It almost seems like it's like you don't want to be there. Like, you just want to oh, I'm
pretend.
here. Yeah, like I'm here on TV. This is what we're gonna do.
And also, if you're sitting there in complete silence, in darkness and in silence, your brain has to fill in, and that's when you're going to start seeing things that aren't actually... Like, there's a difference between, oh, I saw a face where I've been sitting in the pitch black for an hour, I'm starting to see things. That is your brain trying to fill in the blank, because that's just what it does.
Yeah. You can't sit in silence.
Mm-hmm. And we've even explained that when we've done house cases. We're like, look, we're going to go sit in this room. It's not that we're not investigating, but if we don't get responses, we're going to sit and have a normal conversation and kill time, and we'll start getting responses that way.
We've gotten full conversations by having conversations.
Mm-hmm.
It's a contagious thing. You start one conversation and a million follow.
Yep. Because they're all over there going, hello, I have something to say about this.
Right.
I haven't spoken to anyone in 500 years. I'm bored.
Yeah, and for amateur investigators, for them to be told, or for them to tell people who have been doing it, you're not supposed to do it that way. But why?
Right. And who the hell are you to say we're not happy, you interrupted us? Who the hell are you to tell us that we shouldn't do it that way?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
Everybody has their own way to do things. There is no right or wrong way. There's just the most logical way and the not so logical / ethical way.
I mean, I've seen amateur investigations like that get posted on YouTube or whatnot, and a lot of them knew what they should be doing. Mm-hmm. But then you get people who are just like, oh, I'm going to set up this camera, I'm going to set this here, I'm going to set this there, and we're going to get all kinds of stuff. And then they get mad because they're like, well, this place isn't actually haunted. That's not how it works.
Ghosts don't perform on cue.
No. I mean, I set up cameras everywhere. And that's kind of my other thing, too, is you don't need big friggin' cameras.
No.
Your phone works just fine.
Well, not even that, but you see I think the misconception is when people watch ghost shows on TV, they have the big cameras with the big boom mics and all this stuff.
Because they're on TV.
Exactly. You have to have those to be on, like, for TV because it amplifies so you can hear people. You can't just have a little itty-bitty camera on millions of screens and not hear anything. You don't need cameras like that.
No.
You can go to Amazon, whatever you want to call it. You can go to Walmart. You can get a small camcorder as long as it records at nighttime.
Yeah.
Set it up.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah. You don't need the big fancy stuff unless you're going to be on TV.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's always okay to start small and slowly work your way up as you get better.
And there's not even anything wrong with using your camera on your phone.
Mm. I mean, we set up if I'm out of cameras and I'm like, okay, this is a big space. I've got 5 of these. I've got 2 trail cams. Somebody give me their phone. And
I set up my iPad as an extra camera.
Yeah, and we set up our iPads.
And the voice memo on your phone works
I use
great as a voice recorder.
I use that every time we go on investigations because I'm like, I don't carry a recorder because knowing me, I would lose it. So I just turn on my voice memo and I just record.
Just make sure your phone's charged and hey, look at that. You've got a whole ghost hunting thing in the palm of your hand.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, photos.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Insane.
Yes.
Because, I don't know, yes, you see things on photos, but there are people that will... Oh, that was my phone. Anyways,
speaking of phones.
Hyperfixate on a spot that could be clearly a glare, but they see a face or something. Photos are my big pet peeve.
No, I mean... we have new technology, digital technology now, too. Hi, Gabby.
Hey, being friendly.
You have the digital technology and whatnot between the big DSL cameras and iPhones or Samsung or whatever. Those still do not take great photos depending on the situation that you're in.
Yeah. And I love looking at pictures from paranormal places. 98% of the time will I ever say, I 100% think that's something.
Yeah.
I will be the one to point out and say, well, I see a face and I see something over here.
But then that also brings back that your brain likes to see faces and things. If something looks vaguely face-like, your brain will tell you it's a face.
Right.
Well, that's like when we went to the Ross house. There is a picture that I took of looking down the aisleway, and there's a metal chair. I sat and stared at this picture for like hours to realize that the emergency exit light is giving off just enough glow that it hit the back of the metal chair and was reflecting onto the wall. And I looked at her, I was like, it's the damn chair. And she's like, what? I said, look. I said, here's the chair. Look at the light. Now look at the wall. It set it up just right that it looks like there's a person standing there, but you can see that the emergency light is hitting the chair just in the right spot.
Yep.
And we had, I think when we uploaded that, not thinking about it, we had people like, oh yeah, there's a person. And then I went back and stared at it. I said, it's the damn chair.
Yeah.
And once we moved the chair just to like debunk it, the whole shadow went away. I was like, son of a bitch.
Yes.
And I was like, yes, we got something.
Yeah.
And it's a damn chair.
Yes. I fall into the pictures on Facebook and all the things. And I will just sit and look at these pictures for hours. Yes. Yeah. And I love it, though, because I do like to look, and I'm like, well, that could be something. And I'm like turning it, blowing it up, shrinking it down. So I have no problem going out there and saying, this is what I see. Is it really that?
We don't know.
I couldn't say. So you take that and compare it with everything else you got, assuming you've got other evidence, video, audio, anything, history. Then you can cut it back and say, okay, well, it could possibly be so-and-so because I have an EVP of that person and I found a picture of that person that used to live there and it really looks like that.
Yeah.
Then I would say, okay, you've got about an 80% chance that it's real.
Yeah. And like with the photos back in the olden times, when you had to develop photos, if you don't know the process of developing photos, have any of you actually like developed?
No,
Okay,
I haven't physically done it, but my mom used to.
So I took a class in high school, and in order to do those photos, you have to do it in a dark room.
Yeah.
You have to open the canister, pull the film out, everything while it's dark. And then when you start start developing them through the solution, if you even leave it in for a second over what you're supposed to, it distorts the image. And if you look at a lot of the older photos, I can do that. Like I can leave it in the solution for just a tad bit longer, shuffle it around a little bit, and look, there's another person in there.
Or even with old stuff, you can like re-record, or with like those old cameras, you could take multiple photos on the same thing, and that's how you get the ghosty appearance. Because that was just the first photo.
And the old camcorders, when they were on tape, if you record so many times over and over and over, they'll start overlaying each other.
And it's been proven that it's been done.
Yeah.
It's been proven multiple times. You can't just snap a photo and be like, oh yes, this is what that is. Stop doing that.
Take multiple photos in a row as well.
Yeah, you have to take at least 3 in a row.
Yeah, so our camera, I have
multiplied.
Yeah. I have it set.
Midnight.
Shut up. I have it set to just continuously photo, like it continuously shutters because it catches seconds of photos. And we have caught things doing that because I'm like, oh look, it moves.
Yeah.
Or like if you show me one photo, there's nothing. The next photo, there's something. The third photo, there's nothing. And there's a like each one are 3 different seconds. Okay, that adds a lot more credibility because literally a second before there was nothing, and then literally a second after there's nothing.
Right.
So then there's a higher chance that is something.
Yeah. That's when we'll actually take that photo and blow it up and lighten it and darken it and see what we can actually see.
Yeah.
But if we take I've taken 5 in a row sometimes, and there's nothing in the first one, there's nothing in the last one, but the middle ones.
You see it kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you're like, okay, this is.
And for people to be told, oh, well, you can't do that to photos. Oh, you can't.
Watch me.
Yeah. Right.
There's a difference between Photoshop and adjusting the brightness and the sharpness to figure out what it is.
Yeah, because if you're looking at a picture and you see something in the background, but the foreground, if you know how that works, you just start adjusting it.
Yeah.
And you're not changing the photo. You're just enhancing it.
Yes.
You're not like adding something, being like, oh, look, there's ghosts. No, you're shifting stuff visually.
Because ghosts show up better with like UV type lighting. And if you have a camera where you can adjust that, you're going to get better quality. Like, oh, there's a person here. We didn't see it before, but there's somebody there.
Yeah.
You're allowed to do that. For people to tell you that you can't do that.
Yeah. The only thing you can't do is don't Photoshop. Don't take a ghost and throw it in there.
Yeah, don't take a photo, then put Casper in. Yeah. Be like, look at what I got. No, you didn't.
Don't take a picture of somebody and then enhance that one to make it look faded like an apparition and then throw that in a picture.
Yeah.
That's what you don't do.
That irritates me.
Yeah. There's so many of those going around.
It's so stupid.
I see those all the time. There's somebody behind my friend and there was nobody behind them. You can clearly see that's a picture that you photoshopped in there.
I can see the outline.
Yeah.
Like some bad green screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go back on that photo and go, oh, hey, look, I can literally pull this off and wow, look at that.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize that.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But it's like, I might not be able to because I don't even know how that works. But people can.
Yeah, I can't either, but
someone will.
It sucks to do it, but I know how. So Kai, what would you like to rant about? Because it seems to be what we're doing.
Don't break into places.
Oh,
be safe.
My next one.
Oh my God! Stop breaking into abandoned buildings where everything's literally falling apart.
That goes back to our conversation from 2 weeks ago when I was like, "Don't do dumb things."
Right.
It ruins it for everybody else.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure that there might be ghosts in there, especially if it's abandoned. But you are still alive, and if that ceiling collapses,
you will be one of the ghosts.
Yeah.
Did you find this homely?
Well, but that was the thing over COVID, though, was because everybody was on lockdown. You had all these people getting out GoPros and their cell phones. They're like, oh, well, because nobody's out, we're going to go do these things.
no.
Well, that is why people like us have a hard time getting into places now. People like us used to be able to get permits to go to cemeteries.
Yep.
It's hard to get that now because...
We've been fighting for a year just to go to the one up the street from my house.
Yes. Because people, I'm not saying you, but people...
If it is you, then you know it's you and stop.
Shame.
Shame.
We're getting into cemeteries and destroying headstones.
Oh, don't do that. Be respectful of the places. If there's a ghost there, it's because someone died there.
Not just the place, be respectful of the spirits.
Right. Don't go in and going, oh, I'm going to fight you.
Yeah.
Zach Pickle bites. They're probably scared and hurt and whatnot. Now, if they're like actively trying to kill you, that's different.
Right.
But for the most part,
It's juvenile.
Yes.
Like, you're a grown adult acting like a 2-year-old and you think it's going to provoke somebody.
It's funny.
Or think it's funny. You're disrespectful. And that person who, when you get to the afterlife, is going to be like, oh, you broke my headstone.
Uh-huh.
Right. We're going to,
Welcome.
Right. It's stupid. And not only that is, those are expensive.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They are.
You're not hurting the spirit. You're disrespecting them, but you're not hurting the spirit. You're hurting the family.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much, because I've seen those like pretty like marble ones, like just a black stone, just to get a name on it. How expensive that actually is.
Just because I had experience looking it up. Like, just plain day in the ground, like flat. You're looking at least 500.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those
then-
big ones, you get to 30, 40, 50,000 for some of them.
Yeah.
All those custom prints and stuff like that.
Yeah. I
those
know,
ones
like,
you see, they're like super tall.
Yep.
There's a reason why those don't happen anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen ones that have like murals on them, and those are expensive. And there are more people that are putting cameras up. It's gross.
Yeah.
People have to put cameras on their loved one's gravesite because of idiots who are just like, I'm gonna go kick this headstone, or I'm gonna
Or steal stuff from them.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're
You want a haunting, that's a good way to get yourself a haunting.
Yeah, if you're gonna go into a cemetery, be respectful of the people that are there, because
there are ways to provoke without causing damage.
Yes.
Right.
Not that we encourage provoking, but there are those circumstances where
we are trained professionals. Don't try.
I'm sorry. If somebody's getting hurt physically or mentally, there are those circumstances that require a little poke in the bear.
Something. Right, that goes back to if they're being mean to you,
right,
they
started it. If they're not, don't start it.
Yeah.
You need to be respectful first and foremost.
That's that's the biggest thing in the paranormal world, is that where I've seen a lot of videos, and I'm seeing a lot of videos of, young people who just walk into rooms and they just start yelling and whatnot. If that doesn't work with live people,
right? If that would get you shot with live people.
Yeah, it's not going to work in the spirit people. Like, it's not going to work.
No.
You walk into somebody's house, the first thing that you're going to do...
Hi.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we do. We introduce ourselves. Mm-hmm. It's weird because some of the homeowners are like, are you talking to a wall right now?
And they're like, yeah.
But that's what we do. I'm so-and-so. This is why we're here.
Yeah.
Come
we
sit.
just want to talk what you have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to go in, I'm going to make you do X, Y, and Z. They're going to go away. They're going to be like, no.
Yeah, that's a surefire way to get either nothing or hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The how dare you're here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You were here before we were. I don't understand how you can call somebody out and be like, why are,
Yeah.
why are you in your house that you died
Right.
in?
Right.
I mean, and
this is my house.
That's the thing about, like, the guy that lives in my house. I don't know if he actually, like, died in my house or around my house, or
if that was a happy place for him.
I just know that there is a man in my house. And the first thing that I said while I was I was painting. We hadn't even moved in yet. We were just in the house alone. And I could feel him standing by the back door. And all I said was, listen, you can stay. Don't go after the animals. Don't go after my kids. Don't come after us. And if you don't like something, that's fine.
Yeah.
He still doesn't like the shelf on the wall.
Yeah.
I give up. I give up putting stuff up there because he just pulls it down. But
listen.
That's the first thing that, like, I set boundaries right off the rip. And he's not allowed in the bathroom.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. No bathrooms. And the atmosphere in my house is fine. Like, I mean, she's
I've been there.
We investigated, and there's nothing wrong with the atmosphere in my house. Because I set a boundary. I was respectful. And this is how it's going to be.
She's dying.
Are you okay?
No, I just keep going. I gotta get this mental image out of my...
The mental image of what?
Your tongue action there, okay?
Blah, blah, blah.
Okay. Anyway, serious conversation here.
But you have to be respectful everywhere you go.
Yes.
Sorry. Are we done now? Being respectful is definitely a big thing that I'm not seeing anymore.
Yes. Moral of the story: be respectful, like you would if they were living or if they're dead. Just go into it like you would if they were still alive. If something you say would get you shot if they were alive, don't say it.
Right.
Don't do it.
Be respectful. Debunk everything.
Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to debunk.
That's one of my favorite things to do is to debunk things. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, how many times have we sat there and we've had over 24 hours worth of footage, depending on if it was like one of our investigations or we could stay like overnight. How many times have we gone through all of that footage and we only get like maybe 4 or 5 hours because most of it is us setting up, us taking down, and then just random stuff that has happened throughout, like me running up and down the stairs.
Yeah.
How much of the footage do you actually get
We
to
watched
use?
that over and over today.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, and if you go for a whole investigation and only get a couple of things, or even nothing, that doesn't make you any less of an investigator. It just means that the ghosts didn't want to talk.
And it doesn't mean it's not haunted. So
Right, that too.
If you go to help somebody and you spend 5 hours there and you get nothing, that's not a definitive, it's not haunted. They don't perform on command.
They're not monkeys.
No.
And if you go in there and they can sense that you're somebody they probably shouldn't talk to,
They're not gonna.
they're not going to.
No.
I mean, it's like some of our investigations. You know, we've had kids. I don't know what it is, but it's like I am a child magnet.
It's the mom thing.
And we've gotten, well, there was a kid's voice, and I was talking to a kid, and then all of a sudden the kid was gone, and I'm like, yeah, no, the kid's here.
Yeah.
Like, it just shifted. It's kids. Kids and, like, young people. Like, oh, look, that's Kelsey. Go say hi. Oh, we're going to hang on to her. You just may be that type of person that attracts one type. Mine is always the over-emotional children and young people who can't rein it in, because then I can't rein it in, and I'm like crying, sobbing mess somewhere on the floor.
Mine are special.
Yeah.
They don't seem to like
I get
me.
all the, I get the ones that want to growl or yell or push or
It's usually
poke
like
or-
after I've gotten emotional and you're like, nope, she's done. Leave her alone,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Because I put up the mom wall there. I'm like, nope, you're done with her. You got a problem? You just haven't been on enough yet.
No.
Just wait.
No, yeah, it's great. You're going to just watch me be a sobbing mess on the floor because it happens. Do not go by yourselves
Oh, yeah.
into abandoned places.
Yeah, no.
Or into the woods
To
or
the
anything.
woods.
Don't go by yourself. And if you do, for some ungodly reason, tell someone where you're going.
Right.
Because if you don't come back,
Walkie-talkies, cell phones, GPS, something.
Yeah.
Just because you think that you're going to be a great investigator because you did it by yourself, you're an idiot.
Great investigators do not go by themselves.
No, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Anything.
possession.
Possession.
A bear.
Oppression.
Right. Animals, wild animals do exist out in the woods, people.
Yeah.
Or in abandoned places that are not
Things do
inhabited.
fall down.
Things fall down, like a ceiling in an abandoned place. Like,
Holes, random holes.
Right.
like
I trip and fall all the time. Like,
nothing that you just fall.
just because, and I think again, it goes back to seeing people on TV. You see them in a room by themselves,
Right.
but they're actually not.
They have a whole camera crew.
Right,
with
they
them.
have a whole camera crew. They are not actually alone.
Mm-hmm.
You don't ever want to be investigating alone because anything can happen.
And I know there are a bunch of YouTubers and everything that go alone, even though most of them have a camera crew.
Yeah.
Don't do it. It's not smart. Too many things could happen to you from the spirit world and the human world.
How many times have people gone into abandoned places and all of a sudden they see people just standing in the doorway? You don't know what's wrong with that person.
Yep.
You don't know if they're homeless. You don't know if they're on drugs. You don't know if they have some kind of mental illness going on.
Yeah.
And you think that chasing them through a building or the woods or whatever is a good idea because you think you saw a ghost. No. If you see a person like that anywhere,
Always assume it's a person
Yeah.
first.
Assume it's living before you
away.
assume it's not.
Yeah.
you leave that area, you go to a safe place, whether like it's a van or like us, we make a space. You go somewhere.
Just not the weight.
Well, yeah, the way they was like, don't go there. But
They've got candy.
you make a space that is a safe place.
Yeah, we do. We always designate this is meetup. This is
Yep.
our safe place.
We do crystals. We do this is our safe space. Don't enter, kind of thing. And when we're feeling overwhelmed or whatnot, we go to that space.
Yeah.
but you don't do it alone.
No. It's just, it's not smart. And I'm sorry, I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but if a spirit wants to hurt you, they can.
They're going to.
Most of them don't, and most of them never would. But you go in there and you're provoking and you're disrespecting.
They're going in guns blazing.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
They're going to meet you with that same energy.
Right.
I think a lot of the way that paranormal investigations are done is because of what happened with COVID, with the world shutting down. People got bored. They needed things to do. But just because you investigate and you post it all over the internet and whatnot of, well, this is what we did, this is how we did it. No. Just no.
No.
I mean, I've been seeing things and feeling things since I was a child. I know good people, bad people. I know when to stop. I know when to be like, you don't come anywhere near me. You can't just assume in situations where you don't feel anything that something isn't there.
Right. And I think people watched
way too much TV.
Yeah, way too much TV, because the one who won't be named goes in guns blazing every time. Okay? He provokes. He does all the things that you shouldn't do. He's a gazillionaire now, but he does all the things you shouldn't do. And
he's a gazillionaire because he's doing it more for the TV than ghosts.
But how many times has he been possessed? How many times have things happened to him?
Just because you see it on TV doesn't make it real.
Yeah.
And that goes for everything?
Everything.
Just because you see anything on TV, do your research first, please.
Yeah.
That research. Oh, Jesus. Research.
If the place says that everything in there wants you dead, maybe don't do it as your first one.
But how many people how many people have gone into a house and are like, oh, well, this is this, and this is this, and this is this. Did you open a book?
Yeah, no.
Don't use
Google.
Don't use Wikipedia, because we all know. But did you go speak to anybody?
No.
Did you go to, the Historical Society or whatever?
No, why would they do that?
Right.
No.
They make those things called books. You open them.
Generally, your library will have some.
Yeah.
You can get a card. You can rent them online now.
Most libraries have a local section.
Yes. Do your research. That irritates me, like seeing all these videos and people are like, oh, I was on the Queen Mary and this happened. Did you even bother to read articles?
No.
Anything about what actually happened and what the Queen Mary was actually for?
No. And when you do your research, don't just do what ghosts are there research. Do the history of the place.
Yeah, because there is more than one family that owns a house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Always.
And just because their name is not on a deed or hasn't been on a deed does not mean they can't be there.
Right.
If they owned a chunk of that land at some point 300 years ago.
Or if they were the child of someone who owned it.
Right. They could be there.
I mean, how many times have we found that when we're like, oh, so-and-so was this, but where did this family come from? And then you see this family name. So you're like, okay, let's focus on these people who aren't named. Mm-hmm. Where did they come from?
Where did they go?
Cotton Eye.
That song popped into my head. And all of a sudden
that's an auto, that's just a reflex at this point.
It's research. That whole thing, like researching, has just gone down the drain.
Yeah.
Nobody, I'm going to Google this house real quick and then we're going to go. Yeah. You're not going to get anything by doing it that way.
No.
I mean, we've even had a hard time.
Yeah.
Even just finding stuff for certain places. And even after your investigation is over, we finally get answers. And that's okay.
Yeah.
You can
do your research
go back.
before and then after.
Yeah.
With the stuff that you got. Like, if you got a name, okay, who is this person?
Mm-hmm. And then come to find out for a couple of them, well, it's their aunt twice removed.
Yeah.
So they really weren't from that property, but they were there because of the person.
Yeah. And that goes into following up with the people that you did investigations for. Don't just freaking leave them
Oh, well, yeah.
on red.
Yeah.
You know, they want to know what you found.
Right. That's why you're there.
Give them a timeline.
Yeah.
And then if they keep messaging you because stuff's going on, respond. We do. We've had people texting us at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and the first thing we do is...
We've been back to some places 3 times.
Yeah, that we respond. It may not be at 3 o'clock
If
in the
you
morning.
text me at 3 o'clock in the morning, I am still asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will not
If
respond.
it says red, that's because I rolled over in my sleep and tapped it and went, no.
This is a morning problem.
But
We'll get to it. Not at 3 in the morning. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of investigating.
Yeah.
The whole investigate.
Right, that word right there is to
Well, but
find
then again,
answers.
it goes back to, are they doing this for fun, or are they doing this to actually help people?
Yeah.
We do it to help people with fun on the side.
I was going to say, even if you are doing it for fun, doing
Right.
that research beforehand
Right.
makes it so much better because you kind of know what you're looking for.
You
Right.
can call
In a
out
way.
names and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can connect with the property or
Yeah.
You're not just going in like, oh, look at this house. I hope it has a ghost.
Right.
You're not going to get anything doing
My
that.
favorite is looking at the maps because then I'm like, oh, look, there's water, there's water, there's water, there's water. Oh, look at all the churches.
Uh-huh.
And then the house is directly in the middle of that. And I'm like, that's a problem.
And there's your answer right there.
Yeah.
Just diagnose it and have to come
Just
over.
look at this map. Here's the problem.
Yeah. And then you see like and then you start looking for like the ley lines and like, oh, there's those, there's this and this and this. And I'm like, just move. Burn it down and move because nothing is going to save you at this
Yeah,
point.
no.
You're screwed.
Yeah, you just picked the whole wrong spot.
So then I guess that goes into before you move somewhere, also do your research.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
My whole
Sometimes it doesn't help though.
No,
Right, no.
my whole thing when we
Yeah.
started looking for a house was I
Personal
didn't want a
experience.
haunted house. And I did not feel one thing
Sorry.
walking into my house. I'm like, this house is great. I don't feel anything weird here. And then I changed the paint color.
Well,
and then,
you started
yeah.
renovation.
Yes, and then the man. And I'm like, okay. You know,
Because he was like, excuse me?
That I picked that color for a reason.
Aztec orange was not a good color. Not a good color at all.
He liked it, and now he's mad.
Apparently. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, guys, we're going to call it a night.
Bye.
Bye, guys.